Hi, this is Ian for Siofra's Magic Alcove, and I wanted to go through, since somebody mentioned this in a comment, all of the seed mantras for the chakras. And if you don't know what a seed mantra is or how to use it properly, watch the video on the Earth Bija, which is Lum, and I explain what a Bija mantra is and how to basically use one. There's a couple other things I didn't cover in that I'll cover in this. One is that they're spelled with an A, like lum is spelled L-A-M, and that's always pronounced as an unless it has a line over it. So lum, the trick is the M at the end of it also has a dot, which makes it's supposed to be a sound in between an M and an N. So a little more nasal maybe than your standard M, a little more towards the N. And they are all basically pronounced that way except for Om. So at the root chakra, you have the Bija Lum, which corresponds with Earth and helps you get in touch with and work with the Earth and harmonize with that, the Earth element, and the Earth principle of the planet if you bring it down far enough. So the next one is Vam, and that's at the sexual center, sexual lotus. And that is the seat of water. So that is the Bija of water, and it helps you to get in touch with the water principle, of course. The next one up in your navel chakra, it's actually slightly below your navel, is Hum. Then this one is Yum. I'm sorry, I got that wrong. Navel chakra is Rum, R-A-M. This one is Hum, H-A-M, with the dot. This one is Yum. And then the one for the brow is what's called the pranava, that is Om. And it's a little bit of a thing. It's spelled A-U-M even though you pronounce it Om. And the idea is that the A and the U conjoined make the sound O of the Om. And then again, that little bit of nasality there. So if you know what you don't know what I'm talking about, please refer to the previous video and I'll explain the mantras and things and how they work. I also wanted to say you should, on the path, for those following the path of enlightenment, a path of enlightenment, whatever your path of enlightenment might be, if you're actually succeeding and becoming a better person, you have to deal with a lot of self-recriminations from the person you were before. What I personally end up experiencing is I did things in the past that I didn't even realize were off kilter, and I'm not going to mention any specifics because I don't want to talk about the bad things I've done in life. But the interesting part is when I realize, when I've gotten myself to the point where I'm no longer that person, then there's self-recriminations for the things I did in the past, and that is a useless thing. First, to have self-recriminations about things you did in the past is to connect you to the past and bring that up again and get that energy flowing back in you, which you've decided you want to get rid of. And it suffices, I think, to assure yourself you will never make the same mistake again, and then you don't have to remember it all the time so that you don't make the same mistake. Just decide you're not going to, and let it go, because those recriminations only hold you tied to the past, and the more you think about the things you did in the past, the more you'll reanimate those thought forms and things. So you really want to avoid that as much as possible. Um, I found it somewhat difficult at first. Now I've sort of gotten to the point of dropping it. I don't exactly forgive myself for the mistakes I've made in the past, but I vow to not make them again and let that person go. That person that was me that made those mistakes, because that's not me now. So, a little bit of advice there, and I hope you get some meaningful information out of this. And I'm also welcome any questions or thoughts or comments. I appreciate them, and they will, in fact, give us food for future videos. Thank you. Hi, I wanted to introduce something different. A while back ago, I had come to me a bunch of aphorisms, I'll call them, and they are mostly one line sayings that have a direct pointing to reality in a similar fashion as a Zen koan. That is, um, they are things that they are pointings towards truth in the manner that a Zen koan is, which means that a Zen koan is actually uh, something you can't solve through logic. You're supposed to comprehend it. So it gets out of the mind. And so these are little one-line sayings, mostly, that are pointing towards development, enlightenment, the truth. The Tao uses this particular method by contrasting opposites, and the idea is that if you have white and black contrasted with each other, mixed together, you get gray. If all you see is the gray, you may not realize that it's white and black mixed together, that it's the opposites. So the idea is that the Tao is something we can't really explain with words or see directly, because it's everywhere, it's all things. But it can be pointed at by phrases that give the opposites. These are things you can learn to understand. Some of them are simple, some of them are multi-leveled, some of them are deep. The first one is, and I'm going to call these, as Coyote suggested, tasty morsels. I probably would have called them something like direct pointing towards truth. But tasty morsels gives the idea, especially, I suppose, from a coyote's point of view, something you can chew on. In other words, not something to just swallow down, but have to chew on to digest. So chewy morsels might have been better, I don't know. Anyway, sorry, tasty morsels it is, because I'm going to go with Coyote on that one. And every place we travel is a journey to the center. So this is obviously not about physically traveling in the world, but our traveling in our lifetime. And if we're doing it right, it's a journey towards the center of us, where we find out that when we come to our center, the real us, and find our true will, as some have called it, then we realize that we are also everything else. That's part of the experience of enlightenment. When you can be the center and the circumference at the same time, you've kind of got it. but we'll not go there for right now. This is easy to intellectualize, and that's not the point, like I say. So I'm going to start putting these on the end of my videos if you like them. And I'm going to give you one more since I explained that one. And explaining them, there's not an explanation for them, but they're to work on the individual and make you have a certain type of realization. And believe me, if you tried reading the Tao Te Ching, it's difficult to understand at first. Over a few years, it begins to make sense. Again, in a way you can't really explain, because it's this comparison of contraries, largely, that point towards the truth. That you can't really, they have this saying, which again is another Americanized things, but those who speak don't know, and those who know don't speak. And it's more because nobody will understand what the hell you're saying, because you can't really talk about it except by pointing at it through opposites. So I didn't mean to go on so long about that. So every place we travel is a journey to the center, okay? And for the next one, which I'll give you now, it changes a little bit. And this is going to be, from now on, these are going to be non-explained, but most of them have some more depth than the surface meaning, though some of them are just kind of superficial. Take it for what you will, because that's its purpose. And so, Coyote is known as a trickster in the Native American legends and things. So, this one kind of relates to that, but is indeed a direct pointing towards truth that will make sense, that you can comprehend and understand once you get the knack of it. So, Coyote says, if you wish to become Coyote, try not to be him. And we'll leave that for a tasty morsel of the day. And we'll close this up for now, and I hope to tack a few more of these onto my following videos if anyone finds them useful or interesting. This is Ian for Siofra's Magic Alcove. Blessed be.